But we also have to keep an eye on what's happening in New York today, as it's a new week in Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial. The proceedings kicking off today with him being found in contempt of court again for another instance of violating the gag order that he has been placed under in this case, and fined another $1,000 for that violation. It brings the total fines up to $10,000 after he was charged with 9 different counts of that, found in contempt of court for 9 different instances last week. The thing is, he's a billionaire, at least on paper, and the judge seems to recognize that. He said today in court, when handing down this order, that he fears that $1,000 fines are not acting as a deterrent. And he threatened to actually put the former president in jail, although he did emphasize that he is reluctant to do so, might be a last resort, as there are a number of complicating factors that would be involved in that, including the fact that as former president, he is entitled to Secret Service protection, would make the whole thing very logistically complicated. So we want to get more now with Josh Naftalis. He is a partner at Palace Partners, also a former federal prosecutor, was the assistant attorney at the Southern District of New York. Thank you so much for being here on Balance of Power, Josh. How likely is it in your mind that Donald Trump may actually end up spending some time in jail for violating this gag order?
Thanks for having me. As you said, the judge is trying to avoid that at all costs, which makes sense. I mean, he doesn't want to disrupt the trial, and obviously logistically, it's a nightmare for the Secret Service. So I think the judge is keeping it out there as an option, but we're not there yet, obviously.
Well, when you say it would disrupt the trial, can you just shed some light as to what realistically we're talking about? It was pointed out to me earlier today by one of our legal editors here at Bloomberg that it's a frequent occurrence that a defendant is brought in from jail to attend court trial proceedings. How disruptive would it be? Would it just be it lengthens the time of the trial? Would it have to be put on pause for some period of time? What realistically are we talking about?
I think both of those issues are potential complications. It could delay the trial because I would imagine the Secret Service would have to adjust and set up a protocol to bringing Mr. Trump to and from court and how he would be held overnight. That's just, Secret Service 101. There's also then the delay that would impact the trial and the worry of telling the jurors potentially that the president had been remanded into custody. And then there's also the appellate issues that this creates. I imagine Donald Trump and his lawyers would argue this is interfering with his defense, that he's no longer able to properly prepare. So all of these delays, again, as a government prosecutor, you don't want delays in your trial. You want the evidence to come in and get to the verdict. You don't want to risk losing your juror or have appellate issues get raised.
Fair enough. And of course, it is the aim of protecting not just potential witnesses or likely witnesses in the case, but also members of the jury that this gag order is designed for, right? Can you just speak to why this is so important that a judge might actually be willing, if not super reluctantly, to throw a former president in jail because of it? Why is this so consequential that incarceration could be justified?
Sure. So, it's the judge's courtroom. He sets the rules. And what Mr. Trump is doing is he's flouting those rules, including to try to intimidate witnesses or get his narrative out there such that maybe jurors would learn about it. But in the end, it's the idea that he deserves a fair trial, but so does the government. He's not allowed to speak outside of the walls of the courtroom and try to get things in front of the jury or just at large to disrupt the witnesses. And that's just how trials are run.